The 2024 Seattle Mariners are in a very interesting spot right now. They're one of the only teams thus far that are starting to separate themselves from the rest of the American League, and this is very encouraging because the last couple of years they have been on the cusp of being really good. They just weren't able to put it all together, and their biggest problem has been a very obvious one. They broke their postseason drought in 2022 in dramatic fashion thanks to this bomb from Cal Raleigh, and that was such an electric way to send yourselves to the playoffs, especially after a 20-year drought. They went on to sweep the Toronto Blue Jays in the wildcard series, but then they were absolutely stunned by Houston in the ALDS. They were so close to winning game 1 of that ALDS, but Yordan Alvarez had other plans, and after game 1, the Mariners just couldn't get the bats going again. They scored a total of 2 runs in the next 27 innings in that ALDS, which included an 18-inning game 3 where they were shut out. The bats just couldn't get it going, and that's going to be a common theme here. And in 2023, they missed the playoffs by just 1 game, but it wasn't for lack of trying. They were tied with the Twins for leading the AL in runs allowed, but once again where the problem lied was scoring runs. They only finished 2 games behind the Rangers and Astros. They just couldn't hang with their offense. They scored 69 runs less than the Astros and 123 less runs than the Rangers, and still they only finished 2 games behind those 2 teams. So you have to think that if the Seattle Mariners scored 70 runs or more that year, they easily win the division, but that's in the past. To their credit, the Mariners tried to fix that this offseason, but the way they did it didn't really make sense to a lot of people. They worked on getting rid of a lot of strikeouts, which is what they thought were a problem. They traded Eugenio Suarez to the Diamondbacks for catcher Sebi Zavala and right-handed reliever Carlos Vargas. They also traded former Cy Young winner Robbie Ray to the Giants and reunited with old friend Mitch Haniger, who is a Seattle legend. They also got Anthony Desclafani from the Giants, who they then flipped to the Minnesota Twins along with Justin Topa and 2 other prospects to the Minnesota Twins for Jorge Polanco. They also traded away Jared Kelenic, Marco Gonzalez, and Evan White to the Atlanta Braves in an attempt to reduce some salary because of Marco Gonzalez and Evan White's contracts. They also let Teoscar Hernandez walk in the offseason. So after all these moves, has Seattle actually improved on their offensive struggles and cut down on the strikeouts? In 2023, the Mariners had the 2nd highest strikeout percentage in the league. And in 2024, the Mariners have gotten even worse with strikeouts. They have the highest strikeout percentage in the league with 27.4%. And that's just kind of nuts considering they did a lot of work in the offseason to prevent this. And did they replace it with anything good? I don't know about you, but I'm for sure taking Teoscar's 18 home runs that he has thus far, along with the strikeouts that he has thus far if I'm a Mariners fan. But how are the other offensive metrics stacking up for the Mariners? In terms of batting average, the Mariners ranked 29th in baseball with a 222 average. But you know, average isn't everything. Are the Mariners getting on base? Also, no. They ranked 25th in all of baseball with a 300 on base percentage. But you know, maybe they're doing some damage when they do put the ball in play. What are they slugging? Turns out they're slugging 371 as a team, which would rank them 22nd in all of baseball, which is not good. But to their credit, they still are doing a little bit of damage. They are 11th in home runs. They're also 16th in WRC plus and 19th in WAR. But overall, they are way below league average in a lot of these metrics. So this has been a big problem for the Mariners the last couple seasons. But you know what hasn't been a big problem for the Mariners? Their pitching. Right now, they are 6th in Major League Baseball in pitching WAR. They're also 7th in FIP, and that is their pitching as a whole, which includes starting pitching and their bullpen. And currently, the Mariners are 45 and 35, which is 10 games over 500. They are 6 games up on the Houston Astros and 6.5 games up on the Texas Rangers. And this is mainly due to their pitching. They only have a plus 19 run differential. The Houston Astros have had so many injuries to their pitching staff and are just floundering right now. The Texas Rangers are having a World Series hangover, apparently. But if I'm the Mariners, I don't want to let those 2 teams hang around in striking distance. 6 games is an okay lead, but you don't want a team like Houston or Texas to get hot, because when Texas gets hot, their lineup can mash. Plus, they have some arms waiting to come back. Max Scherzer just made his 2024 debut on Sunday, and he looked incredible. 5 innings pitched, only giving up 1 hit and 4 strikeouts, 0 walks. They also have Jacob deGrom potentially coming back from his injury. So imagine if you get a healthy Jacob deGrom, and then the bats start hitting for Texas. They can erase a 6-game lead super quick, and no matter what Houston is going through as far as injuries, they just have such a good track record of success that I don't want to let them hang around, because when Kyle Tucker gets back from the IL, he could get hot. Not to mention Yordan Alvarez, who hasn't really even hit his stride this season. Those 2 players are the type of guys that can just carry a team. So if I'm Seattle, the time to buy is now, as soon as possible. You gotta stomp on those teams in Texas and make sure they cannot come back. They are down right now. You've got to make sure to keep it that way. You've got to be buyers at the deadline, and preferably before that if you're Seattle, because their starting rotation has all these guys healthy and going for them right now. And how many times have we heard that pitching wins championships? And Seattle has the rotation that can win a championship. They might have one of the deepest rotations in baseball, if not the deepest. Logan Gilbert has been incredible. Kimbrel, he's a Cy Young contender. Luis Castillo has been great. George Kirby has been great as well, and many people think he's even underperformed. Bryce Miller has also been fantastic. Brian Wu has also been excellent, while Emerson Hancock has been on the IL. With the amount of pitching injuries we've seen this year, you just can't bank on all 5 of those guys being healthy in 3 months. But they are all healthy right now, and you have to take advantage of that. You have to go and supplement their rotation and get some bats that can help you win games when it matters. And when you look at the lineup, there's not many spots in that lineup that can't be improved on. Now, they have had a couple players that are hitting above league average when it comes to OPS plus. Dylan Moore's had a solid season. His OPS plus is 115. Dominic Canzone in his limited at bats has an OPS plus of 123. Josh Rojas and Luke Raley both have an OPS plus of 115, and Ty France has an OPS plus of 112. And all these numbers are as of Sunday morning. But when it comes to the players that they rely on, the players that they had their faith in, guys like Cal Raleigh, JP Crawford, those guys have not shown up. Cal Raleigh has an OPS plus of 90 this year. He's not having a good season. JP Crawford has regressed mightily from his career year last year. His OPS plus is 93. Mitch Garver, one of their big free agent signings in the offseason, his OPS plus is only an 86. And the dude who you just paid not too long ago, Julio Rodriguez, the guy who's supposed to be the face of your franchise, not even just your franchise, but one of the faces of Major League Baseball, is having a terrible year. His OPS plus is 96. When is he gonna get it going? We all know that he is a second half player. That is not something you can plan on. Like second half J-Rod is a separate player that you only get July onward. What if he doesn't turn it on? I think we all expect him to go in the second half, but it could very well not happen. And I talked about those other guys having good seasons like Luke Raley, Josh Rojas, Dylan Moore. Are those the type of dudes that you want to rely on for a postseason run? They're having okay years, but where are the big hitters? That's why you gotta go buy this offseason if you're Seattle. You have to be buyers. Look around the league. Where can they get bats from? You know the Chicago White Sox are going to be selling. I would love for Seattle to just put all their chips in and go get Luis Robert. He's going to be expensive in the term of prospects and money, but now is the time you have to capitalize on your young arms. It also looks like Toronto could sell. If you really want to go ham, go try to get a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., maybe even a Bo Bichette. I know Bo Bichette's a shortstop and JP Crawford is your shortstop, but you'll figure out the positions. Now, maybe Bo and Vlad aren't the best examples of guys to go after considering the type of years they're having, but I think a change of scenery could be really good for those two players. And if the price is right, maybe you try it. We've all heard Pete Alonso's name being floated around out there. Go get you a power hitting first baseman that can hit some more tanks. Also, they don't even have to be big name players. You remember the 2021 Braves who got Jorge Soler, Jock Peterson, Eddie Rosario? You can go get a couple of guys that can all contribute in some way. Think guys like Tommy Pham for the White Sox. He's having a very good year. Maybe the Arizona Diamondbacks can't get it together and they start to sell. Maybe go get you a Christian Walker, maybe even a Jock Peterson. We all know Jock Peterson rakes in the playoffs. His name is Jocktober for a reason. Go get him. He can go get you the big hit in a big time moment. If the Boston Red Sox need to sell, Tyler O'Neill could be a really good option. Listen, I'm not the GM of Seattle. The point I'm trying to make is that it is not often where you have a pitching staff firing on all cylinders and most importantly healthy. I don't know exactly what moves Seattle can and should make or what their budget will allow or the entirety of their prospect capital, but what they need to do is they at least need to give it a shot. This could be the year of the Seattle Mariners, and yeah, they could have a shot even if they don't make moves, but I would hate for them to get to the playoffs yet again and have another experience like they had in 2022 where they just couldn't find any offense after that first game of the ALDS, because there's a good chance that could happen again. And you know what, even if they do make those trades, it could happen like that again. But I would hate for the Mariners to look back and be like, we missed our shot. I would hate for that to happen, especially if you get a pitcher or two next year that goes down with an injury. So now is the time Seattle needs to go buy, and if they do that, they have a really good shot to make some noise in the playoffs in 2024, and I am absolutely here for that.